All right, well, we are going to get started, and I guess we're already recording, but yes, welcome to this session. And today what I want to go over, because we've gotten this question a lot in the last 3 years, is exactly is Guidestar, and what is it used, what is it good for, what should you use it for? As everyone probably knows by now, Candid is a merger between Foundation Center and Guidestar. Guidestar is not quite as old as Foundation Center, but it's been around since 1994. A lot of times we say that in a nutshell, Guidestar is sort of the flip side of Foundation Directory, right? Nonprofits use Foundation Directory to look for grant makers and funding, while those grant makers and other donors use Guidestar to figure out which nonprofits to give to. So that's a simplification. What I want to go over today are the primary use cases for Guidestar, and there are basically three. First of all, just general research. Guidestar is a research tool. So anyone that has any questions about nonprofits, whether it's a student doing a paper or an academic researcher or something, or if you want to know which nonprofits are in your area or that work on a particular topic, it's a great research tool and a very comprehensive one. And I am going to actually demonstrate it later. But that's the first thing. The second case is that it's to help nonprofits. Any 501c3 organization and others is listed in Guidestar. So we pull that info directly from the IRS, but then we give nonprofits the opportunity to claim their profile and add to that. We always say no numbers without stories, no stories without numbers. I'll talk about exactly what that means, but basically, if you don't, unclaimed profiles only have numbers in them, but if nonprofits claim their profile, they can add the story to illustrate those numbers. And then finally, Guidestar powers a lot of giving platforms. So we offer APIs, which is an application programming interface, to various donor institutions. So in other words, our software ties into their software so they can use Guidestar to research and to verify nonprofits. So I'm going to go into each of these use cases. And as I said, I'll do a demo and give you a little better idea of exactly what Guidestar is. So first of all, to research nonprofits. Okay, this is an outline of the scope of Guidestar. There are over 1.8 million organizations in there. Now note that this includes all 501c3, but also other tax exempt organizations. And it also includes private foundations, which are designated 501c3 by the IRS. So in addition to what we think of as nonprofits and charitable organizations, it includes things like political organizations, professional organizations, say like the American Library Association, chambers of commerce, and then religious organizations, faith-based nonprofits that are not necessarily 501c3. So it's not just nonprofits, it's any tax-exempt organization that's included in here. And these are some of the information you can find, the financials, people in leadership, the mission, and all of this information is derived from validated sources, primarily 990s, but also direct reporting from the nonprofits themselves. Now, really, anyone is able to use Guidestar. There is a free interface. If you are not registered, if you go to guidestar.org, and I'll ask Erin to drop that link in there. If you're unregistered, you just go to the site. You can do some functionality, up to what we call 25 searches. I put an asterisk there because every time you search, if you filter that search, then it counts as another search. So I say roughly 25 searches, depending on how complicated those searches are. You can also register on the platform. And again, it's free to register. And then you can do up to 50 searches. Same parameters. Again, it depends on how complicated those searches are. And then finally, Guidestar Pro for an individual user is about $2,000 annually. And Guidestar Pro has a lot more targeted search functionality, which you'll see in a minute. And then we also have an enterprise package, and this is for larger organizations with 10 plus users, and the pricing for that verifies. So there, just like with Foundation Directory, there are multiple ways that you can access the database. Erin, any questions so far?
Nothing that you haven't already answered. You're just that thorough.
Okay, good, good. All right. So as I mentioned, as a research tool, Guidestar Pro is, it's a very easy to use interface. As I said, it's a very comprehensive database. So as I said, any type of, academic or maybe professional database. I put this graph up here because I recently had to present to organizations that were focused on Asian American and Pacific Islander oriented things. And I wanted to give them a little more information. So I went in Guidestar, spent maybe an hour or so to find out, what about these organizations in the US? What issues do they serve? How large are they? How many employees? Their, income. And I put together I was able to put together a nice little package for these organizations that illustrated what Asian American Pacific Islander organizations are all about in the US. So that's one thing. As a nonprofit, you can also do benchmarking in Guidestar. Again, Guidestar Pro, but you can create a cohort and then you can compare your organization up to 5 different in sort of a peer analysis. So that's something else you can do. And then primarily things like donations. If someone is looking for, what charities are in my neighborhood that focus on, animals or something like that, you can do that research in Guidestar. You can narrow it down to your particular community to do that. And maybe someone is looking for, volunteer or job opportunities with a particular type of nonprofit. That's another use case for Guidestar, just as researching. And also, for you to know what services are available in the area. Someone comes in and wants to know, is there an organization that offers equine therapy, with horses that it's nearby or something like that. Those are the kinds of things you can research in Guidestar. As I said, almost anything related to nonprofits, you can do that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you a little demo based on this little question. We're going to find out, say you're looking for a small children's theater company to give to in the Bay Area. So I'm going to stop my share here and I am going to start a new one. All right. So hopefully you are seeing my screen in Guidestar. Okay, this is the beginning of the interface. And say I'm looking for organizations here. You can start with an organization name or you can start with a keyword. So I'm going to just start with a simple search for theater groups. And that should not have pulled up zero. Okay, there we go. I was about to say that should not have pulled up zero. So we see 24,000 results here. So these are some ways you can narrow your search. You can go by a state, you could go by zip code or metropolitan statistical area. So since I want to look in my area here, I'm going to put in San Francisco. And there we go, San Francisco, Oakland, there are 342 groups. So you can narrow it geographically, city, county, or zip code. And then under organization, there are a number of other filters. First of all, I can see which ones have seals, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I could also narrow it further by population served. So say I'm looking for a theater group that's focused on children. So I can do that. And that took us down to 77 results. You can do it by IRS form type or I can exclude IRS subsection is what I was looking for. And this is where you can see that, you know, it's not just 501c3 organizations, it's other organizations too. You can narrow it by that. You can exclude revoked or defunct organizations. You could pick number of employees to get an idea of the size. You can also show only organizations that have provided diversity information, you know, only those with audited returns. And the same thing under financials. You can say, if I only want to look at smaller organizations. So let's say small in this case is under about $1 million. So I can, you know, put that filter in. And then also you could do total expenses or assets. But let's say, you know, I'm looking for a theater to donate to. So I've got my list down to 39 now, 39 small theater groups that are devoted to children's theater. As you can see on this first page on the listing, you can see who has the seals. I want to show you one that doesn't have a seal so that we can see the difference. So let's look at the Children's Theater Association of San Francisco. And I'm looking at this, and they don't have a seal. So their information is going to be very sketchy. I just have a name and location here, a vague mission. I have their contact information. These are things when it says this profile needs more info, that means that there is more, that they have not claimed the profile and updated this information. So all I have here is going to be their expense things. So as you can see, the only thing I have to judge this organization is on its financials and its overhead. And we don't want nonprofits to be in that situation. You want to be able to, you know, make the case that it's about more than how little you can spend on administrative cost. So that's one. Now, if we go and see, let's look at a platinum profile. Okay, the African American Shakespeare Company has a platinum profile. So this is where you can see the difference between an unclaimed profile and then the platinum, which is the highest level. So here we have the name, we have the full mission spelled out here. We have an outline of all of their programs, you know, their strategic plan, what they're aiming to solve, where they work, all the productions they have, and their education program that's there. So as you can see, there are pictures, there are photos and videos, their measurement results in the, you know, how many number of audience members, number of performance. All of this information was input by the African American Shakespeare Theater. It's not something that we put in there. Their commitment to sustainable development goals. This is what a platinum seal guarantees you. So if I'm looking for organizations to contribute to, I'm getting a lot more information about this organization than I am about the children's theater, and which might make me a little more inclined to donate to that. So I'm going to stop the share now and go back to the slides. Any more questions, Erin?
We did have a question coming up about our Go for the Gold promotion.
Yes.
Which I know is something that you're going to be discussing.
I certainly am.
There was another one about, are there statistics or data showing how many profile views an organization receives?
There is information about, we keep that internally, and I'm not sure if that's available. If someone from Candid is, either we have some people who work more closely with Guidestar that might be able to answer that if they want to do that. But we do, an organization can find out, you know, how many views they've gotten. So second use case, primary use case for Guidestar is to earn seals for nonprofits. So this is geared toward nonprofits. So as I mentioned before, if it's a 501c3 organization, then it's listed in Guidestar. It's a matter of claiming the profile. And as I demonstrated, if you don't claim your profile, it looks sketchy like the one on the right. If you do, it looks like the one on the left. So we have various levels of seals of transparency that build upon each other. And I don't know why these aren't showing, but I'm going to go through them separately. The bronze seal is so you can show, you know, where you are so people can find you. And most organizations can earn a bronze seal in maybe 5 minutes. It only requires this information, your contact, donation info that you can put on there, and then your mission and your leadership. Silver builds on that, but then here's where you also add all of the information on programs, on the population served. Organizations can put in their brand name, they can put their logo on there, links to their website, and then any photos and videos. That's on the silver level. And then for gold, this takes a little more time and effort, but we request recent year financials, their board of directors and staff demographics, which is increasingly important. So in other words, funders want to know that, you know, your leadership reflects the communities you're serving. So staff demographics as far as race and ethnicity, gender identity, and sexual orientation are the main ones. And I believe disability status. So those are the main things. And as I said, this is becoming a big issue for funders. There are some places, even out here in California, the League of Community Foundations out here even requires that their potential grantees have a gold seal. So this is becoming, you know, and if by putting this into Guidestar, then you do that once and you don't have to, you know, you have that information already in there. The same thing with earning a platinum seal. This is where you share your strategy and your metrics. You can upload your strategic plan or just describe it. You share metrics to show, just like I showed you in that theater example, that show how you're doing from year to year and anything else. Now, we've had organizations tell us that even earning the platinum seal, as I said, it'll take a little more time, but it saves them time. It saves tons of work because these are the types of questions that most funders are going to ask for a proposal. You know, they want to know, you know, what you're doing, how you're measuring your success, things like that. So having all this information in one place in Guidestar is great. You can even perhaps the organizations can point to that for a funder, or at least you have it already together. You've thought about it every year. So yeah, we have had people estimate that it saves them tons of time for that. Not to mention that when an organization then looks you up, all that information is already there. Now, we make it very easy to claim your profile. Once organizations go to guidestar.org, they will just have to set up an account and they click on update their profile. We verify that they are authorized to speak for that organization. And then after that, we walk you through how to update your profile. And as I said, it's a very user-friendly interface. It asks questions, you sort of plug and play. They don't ask you to write an essay or anything. So it's a very user-friendly. There's also lots of assistance available at helpguidestar.org. There are numerous facts. We also have an outreach toolkit. Once organizations claim their seal, it provides images of the seal that they can put on their website, or maybe a widget or something, so that people who land on their profile can click through to their website. And it also provides sample social media copy so that they can publicize that, hey, now we've got a seal. And it turns out that the seals that, you know, they are definitely worthwhile. The thing about the seal is that it shows that you are a transparent organization, and transparency builds trust with donors and with others. And this was a study that was in a peer-reviewed journal that showed that organizations with a seal captured 53% more in contributions than organizations without a seal. So that's something we like to promote and make clear. Now, seals have to be earned annually. But once you get the information in there, it's just a matter of updating them. But there's really no downside to it. I mean, they're absolutely free. As I said, other than the use of time, there's really no downside to earning the seal. And we try to make it as easy as possible. So in addition to all of the information that's on the website and things, we also do classes regularly throughout the year. In fact, next week, we have a couple of online webinars coming up that are specifically about how to update the Candid nonprofit profile. In addition, there's also a self-paced e-learning course, Tell Your Story with Candid profiles. And again, all of these are free. So anyone can go to Candid Learning and find that, and they can enroll in that self-paced class. In addition, and this is what I guess someone was interested in, the Go for Gold promotion. We started this last year, and as Ann May mentioned, our CEO mentioned not yesterday, not last week. This is going to be a permanent promotion now. So we are trying to encourage organizations to get a gold seal. Again, that includes that all important demographic information. And if you are a smaller nonprofit, which is 1 million or less in annual revenue, you can earn your seal. You will get a free 1-year subscription to Foundation Directory Essential. So, and that will enable you to look for grants and things. A lot of you are familiar with FD Essential, which is what we provided remote access to last year. It's a little smaller version of the database, but still very useful. So organizations that apply for that can earn the seal and get access to FD for a year. In addition, as I mentioned, when you earn a bronze seal, as soon as you do the lowest level, you can put a donate button on your profile in Guidestar. But in addition, we just rolled out the option to use Apple Pay for donations. So organizations can put that on their site, and Apple Pay, making it real easy for people to donate to your organization as soon as they find you on there. So now one more thing, I talked about the third use case, and that's for our API solutions. So Guidestar's reach extends way beyond just the people who subscribe to it. It's also at the heart of more than 230 websites, programs, and applications use Guidestar on their back end, and they tie in directly to the information that's there. So by being on Guidestar, it's really a passive form of promotion. And organizations may be getting literally millions of views because it is so widely used. First of all, a lot of the social media things, I'm sure all of you all shop Amazon like I do. So when it asks you if you want to donate for Amazon Smile, on the back end, they're using Guidestar data to confirm that nonprofit and to possibly suggest others. Same thing with Facebook. These are increasingly fundraising tools for nonprofits, and Facebook and Amazon use Guidestar data on the back end. Various giving platforms like Just Give and Network for Good, these also get their information from Guidestar. And even more importantly, financial institutions, especially donor advised funds, which are, it seems like a black hole actually to a lot of nonprofits because it's hard to figure out how to get in front of them. Well, a lot of those funds use Guidestar to research the organizations that they're going to then recommend to the individuals who have accounts with them. And the same thing with other financial institutions that let people set up charitable accounts. They're looking on Guidestar to find out the best organizations or to figure out who they want to donate to. Grants management software. When someone applies for a grant, the grant maker most often is their online interface is tied into Guidestar. So they're looking at that profile and verifying all the things you're saying in there when you apply for a grant. Other institutions that use it, media and researchers, you know, say the New York Times is interested in doing an analysis of environmental nonprofits. They're going to look in Guidestar possibly to see who are the best ones to talk about, you know, who are the leaders in their field, who, you know, and they're going to make some of those judgments based on that profile. And then finally, there are some other organizations and things, but all of these, you know, rely on Guidestar data. And that's why, as I said, we're making a real effort now to get people to claim their seals. So I hope I've answered the questions about, you know, what is Guidestar and what it's good for. And I also hope I've shown you why Guidestar is crucial to Candid's mission of supporting the social sector with the information it needs to do good. So currently, probably about 90,000 organizations have earned seals, have claimed their profiles and earned seals. And we are hoping to get that number up, way up. So I appreciate all of the efforts our Fin partners have made to let nonprofits that come to you know about what an important resource this is, and to know that this is something that they can do to, you know, broaden their exposure to donors, to motivated donors, people who are actively looking for nonprofits to give to, and yeah, and just directing them to our online courses and other information. So now I'm happy to take any more questions that have come through, Erin.
Yes, there have been. So the 90,000 nonprofits that have claimed their profile, that's a really great stat. But Amy was wondering if we have a number for how many potential funders are using Guidestar right now.
That's a good question. An exact number, yeah, it's hard to say. As I mentioned before, funders, because Guidestar is used on the back end for a lot of organizations, I'm not sure that we can give an exact count. There's probably a count for subscribers, but I don't know that I can say that that's the only you know, that's a definitive number of people who are looking at it. Because as I said, it's not just grant makers, it's individual donors as well. And I'm gonna ask if Supriya or Winnie are on, if you have any idea about the actual subscriptions that are available, or how many.
Hey, I can take this, Lori.
Okay. Oh, hi, Tracy. Thanks.
Hey there, no problem. It's in the thousands because of all the integrations that we have. It's, you know, I can't give you a specific number, but because of our, you know, the multiple integrations we have in terms of donor advised funds and Amazon File and Facebook and grant management software vendors, it's thousands.
Okay.
Very pervasive.
At a minimum. Yeah.
Yeah.
At a minimum. Okay.
Amazing. And we've had a couple of folks that have written in to you know, just express that they would like a little bit more clarification around using Guidestar alongside FDO. They said that some of their folks that have come in to their grant centers and libraries have expressed a little bit of confusion with that. So any guidance you could offer would be great.
Yeah, the thing with Foundation Directory is primarily a directory of grant makers, of an private institutional donors. And there is information in there in Pro about some nonprofit organizations. We have recipient profiles, but those are only organizations who have received grants from any of those, you know, funders that are in there. So that's not a comprehensive list. If you're looking for grant makers, then yes, Foundation Directory is comprehensive. But if you're looking for nonprofits, then Guidestar is the most comprehensive source, because those are all nonprofits, not just those who have received grants.
And I think that's about it for the questions that I've seen come in. But Lori, I know that you teach this a lot.
Yes.
With various Candid courses. What are some things that that you often get questions about, particularly from you know, folks that are in those classes from our Fin partners?
From our fin partners, yes. And as I mentioned, the classes next week are actually being done in conjunction with some of the fins. Usually a lot of the nonprofits just want to know about the mechanics of doing this. And that's one of the parts of the class is to just encourage them that it really is user-friendly and it's easy to do. It's not, you don't have to write out a grant proposal or anything. As I said, it's more of a question and answer format for putting the data in there. And we offer a lot of assistance. I also forgot to mention our online customer service and our online librarians and customer service support people who are really wonderful. So if anyone has questions while they're in the process of it, especially when it comes to the gold and the platinum level, where the information gets a little more in-depth and complicated. But as I said, I would encourage them to, at the very least, bronze and silver are very easy to do. So I think that's a lot of the questions that I get. And also we've had questions about wanting to, track how many people are viewing the profile on there as well.
Awesome. And then Shelley had a question regarding the turnaround time for when a nonprofit gets their IRS LOD before it shows up in, that info shows up in their Guidestar profile.
I can't say exactly. I know Guidestar, just like Foundation Directory, is updated constantly. But as we all know, there can be a lag with IRS data. Organizations have up to 18 months to file, and then it has to get in there. So conceivably, there could be up to a 2-year lag. But Guidestar, like Foundation Directory, is updated constantly. Yeah. And I see the question from Patricia about getting seals for international nonprofits. Yeah, I don't know when that's going to happen. We, as an organization, we do hope to expand our ability to serve the social sector all over the world. Right now, the problem is that, as I said, a lot of it, we rely on, US IRS data. And so for now, some international nonprofits that have a US, base, then they would probably be in there. But trying to figure out how to capture those international nonprofits, that's still a work in progress.
Yes, I know that we've had many talks about how we can start being more inclusive internationally. So.
Right. And also another common question that we get are for organizations that are fiscally sponsored. And again, that's not, those would not be included in Guidestar. They have to have an employer identification number, from the IRS. But we mentioned that if there's an organization, the organization sponsoring them can include them in their description. I've seen that when they talk about their programs or things, they can mention this other organization that they're fiscally sponsoring. And that's a way for them to show up in Guidestar. But that's something else. That's another common question we get. The success story.
We did get another question in the Zoom. James was just wondering about organizations that offer programs in multiple cities, how the grandchildren are counted.
Oh, okay. Now I didn't show you that in my demonstration, but there is a way to account for that. Let me jump back in here. Hold on. As I said, the Guidestar interface is really pretty flexible and targeted, the Guidestar Pro interface. So if you, under organization, when you're narrowing down, there is an affiliation type. So you can specify if you're looking for the parent organization, if you only want to look at parent organizations, or subordinate or independent or headquarters. I think that's what you're asking. Does that answer your question? That is one of the fields you can filter by.
And then Amy had a question. Will there be integration between what orgs reports on Guidestar and their profiles on FDO? So
We have already started doing that. If you're in FDO professional and the recipient list comes up, you'll see a little tag that says bronze, silver, gold, or platinum to let you know that these organizations, what level of seal they have. So yeah, we've already begun that integration.
And James came in with another question around faith-based organizations. He's wondering if they have Guidestar profiles that might also include partner NGOs.
When you say partner NGOs, you mean that might be outside of the country? I don't know. There is, as I said, there is a way to search just for religious-based organizations, which, as I said, they're classified differently than 501c3. To be honest, I don't know that. They probably, if they included, remember, we're not putting this information in here except for the basic information from the IRS. So if one of those organizations had claimed their profile and mentioned that, yes, they are working with this NGO overseas, then it would be in there. But if not, I don't know that we would be able to know that information. As I said, we try to make it so that this is not us doing a rating or evaluating. This is the organizations themselves adding the information. So.
And yeah, just a lot of general enthusiasm about doing more integration between Guidestar and Foundation Directory, which I know is something that we are turning towards as an organization. Lori, can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, well, just to say that be sure to come to Tracy's section later today, and she will, as always, this is one of our most popular sessions. She'll tell you what's, coming up down the line for Foundation Directory. So I would just, tell you to make sure to tune into her section later today.
Yeah, and if I can jump in for a moment. Hey, everyone. My name is Winnie. I am the product manager for our profile update tool itself. And just to give a little bit more backstory to the information that we collect and where it goes to. So Lori had covered that the information that we're collecting via the tool will go to the Guidestar profiles and to a lot of our partners. A lot of that information also gets passed along to Foundation Directory right now. So when you think about the program information and all of the information that you're filling out there, that gets sent to all of our other sources. It's a very important source of information for us here at Candid to get the information directly from nonprofits and from our partners, because as we mentioned, that there is such a big lag between when we're getting that information in from the IRS. So if you fill that profile out, you're able to actually send it to a lot more places via Candid itself.
Yeah, and something else to note when you talk to nonprofits is, as I said, having this all in one place is a great thing for them, for being able to point people to their profile, because these are, especially with Platinum, these are the types of questions that funders usually want to know. What are you doing? How are you measuring it? And once they do that, as I said, it takes a bit of time, but then it's done and it's in one place every year. So that's another benefit to point out to nonprofits.
Hey, Lori, can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Lori. It's Tracy again, everyone. The other great thing about having a seal is that once you have a seal, you will receive a link to a full shareable profile link. So if you want to incorporate that on your website, in solicitation emails, however you want to use it on social. But if someone receives that link directly from you, a potential funder, they're going to be able to see your entire profile without any barriers. So it's a great way for you to introduce yourself to a potential funder, and that is a benefit for seal holders.
Yeah, that's great. That's a new feature. Yeah. I appreciate all of the efforts that our friends have made from people like Debbie and others that I've heard from that are really getting the word out to nonprofits that have not heard of Guidestar, don't know about the seals. And I appreciate all of your efforts, and we'll just continue to do all we can to make it as easy as possible. All right. Okay, thanks everyone.